So here's what's going on in real estate industry right now. And I'll explain this to you. And at the end of the video, what you should know and what you should do in 2025 as home sellers and home buyers, because that's what's most important. But to get to that point, I need to explain this to you. So a couple of years ago, and I'll try to be as simple as possible because you don't really have to know all of this in details because it's changing pretty much every other day. So a bunch of sellers sued NAR, the National Association of Realtors. They won. They made a bunch of money supposedly, but the most of the money went to the attorneys as far as I know. March of 2025, NAR allowed the big brokerages like the Compass, the private networking group, that they can do the private listing, which means that these big brokerages, they can just have a pocket listing within their brokerages, and then they can do whatever they can, and they don't have to publicly post on Zillow or Redfin. And so they can maybe, provide testing the water for some sellers, and maybe hoping that maybe they can double end some things. I don't know. So they allow that. And that made Zillow and Redfin very unhappy. Do you see the unhappy? Because if they keep the private listings, these business models will die out because their reason for survival is most consumers think that all the listings are here. If these companies don't post those listings here, people are going to stop going to Zillow and Redfin, and they basically made a sort of like ultimatum. If you don't share that, we're going to block future posting of any of what you did on private listing. We're not going to post them, which made a lot of realtors and sellers nervous, because if you're banned on these big websites that are 60-70% of the buyer traffics are going, that's a big problem. And so in that process, NWMLS, which is a Seattle area MLS, this is Realtors database. They block Compass, the IDX feed, meaning they basically said, what you guys are doing is wrong. We're going to stop the data flow to your listing and to us. And I think yesterday, Compass made a federal lawsuit against NWMLS by saying that they're breaking the antitrust law. So they're like going after each other. The sellers won against NAR. NWMS and the portals, they didn't have that good of a relationship for many years. And more likely, these guys are going to sue those guys. So they're basically like suing each other. Bunch of them. So a bunch of attorneys are making a lot of money. Now, I put R's, ER. That's like I just showed it for the employee realtors. So because Redfin is salary-based realtors, they're their employees, not like the independent contractors like the other realtors or other brokerages. I put R's because these organizations are all paid by the realtors. The NAR due like $700-800 a year by every realtor. The Compass, it's a brokerage. If they don't have realtors, they can't survive. That's their business model. NWMLS, they are paid by realtor fees. The Zillow, about 93% of their annual revenues are paid by realtors to be advertised there. The Redfin, without the realtors, they can't really sell real estate. So they're like, that's part of their business. So all of these organizations are benefited by realtors selling real estate, and they're just trying to make their profit, their territory protection and all of that. They're like suing each other. Like, it's crazy. So if you keep track of this, it's almost like watching soap opera. It's like it's more entertaining than the Netflix shows nowadays, it seems. But let me get to this. Ultimately, what they're doing is trying to protect their best interest, and whoever is going to protect the consumer's best interests hopefully will win, should win. That's where DOJ and antitrust law is really there to protect the consumer's best interest. So right now, as a realtor, I'm a real estate agent in Portland, Oregon. As a realtor, for the best like legal protection, best your listing exposure, best way to make the most net profit when you're buying, best way to protect your earnest money if you're buying, or if I said buying, if you're selling, you need the most exposure. So seller and buyer, the best advice that I can give you is find the best realtor in your local market, because that realtor is going to do everything possible to protect your best interest, whether you're selling or buying, and two different things, but selling or buying, they're going to know what's happening and how to mitigate any kind of risks. The only thing is that if you're a realtor and your seller, if your realtor says that you want to try the private listing, I would be very cautious. I may look at other realtors, because if you actually go to that, I'm not going to finger point one brokerage, but if they say private listing, they don't post on Zillow, your listing could be forever banned by Zillow and Redfin. That could mean tremendous damage to the exposure of your listing. You may not be able to sell your listing at the top dollar. So that's what's going on. So you as a consumer, just talk to multiple realtors in multiple brokerages, see what they're offering, what their fees are, and fees are negotiable, by the way, and whether they do private listings or not. I would just walk away if they say they advocate for private listings and go for open market brokerage, unless you really understand what you're doing with the private listing. So that's my less than 10-minute summary of what's going on in the real estate industry. I follow this closely so I don't break any rules, and I don't lose out on the most benefit for my clients. But this has become just chaotic. I mean, this lawsuit alone, that was like bogus lawsuit in my opinion. They didn't defend. They didn't have a good realtors to defend realtors and the sellers and the buyers' best interest, because we had a good working system. They got rid of it. It's like wild, wild west right now. And the campus is it's hard to recruit and retain realtors. So they're trying to do this private listing thing to have more voice, or protect their territory, by putting some realtors at a risk in some sense. If I'm a realtor at Compass, I don't know if I'll feel comfortable right now. The end of the MLS, I mean, it's other business. They probably make a lot of money. But what's right or wrong, I'm not sure, since we don't have like a national open, the MLS system. So different regions have different MLS, and they're operating on their own business. So I have kind of mixed feelings about local MLSs, but that is the current working system right now. What's really tough for the national MLS system is that each states have different real estate rules. So coming up with a national MLS can be really difficult. So I think that's where the local MLS does make sense, because of the rule differences in each state. So I have different feelings about it, but they're unhappy. They were happy and now they're unhappy. They're suing. NAR is like they're just trying to survive. Sellers are probably unhappy because it's confusing as hell, and they didn't really get money from that class action lawsuit. So everybody's unhappy. Realtors are unhappy right now because of the low transaction volumes. It's pretty chaotic, but that's where I'm gonna leave it. If you have any questions about Portland, Oregon market, give me a call 515-4499. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.